Thank you, Bill. So as Bill said, I have licensed TAM818 from Sierra Sciences, and we formulated that into a skincare. So you've seen the science behind it. For a lot of you, was it the first time that you have heard about telomeres and telomerase and how they work? Is it? So your brain is already kind of, feeling it right now. So what happens when you actually put TAM818 into a skin cream? As Bill said, we're getting amazing results. Basically, you only have to get that TAM818 inside the cell. That's all you have to do for it to start inducing telomerase within that cell. So what we've done is we've liposomed it and encapsulated it, put it into a really great delivery system. You apply it on your skin, just like a regular skin cream, and that TAM818 gets straight into the skin cell and starts producing telomerase. And we know what happens when you produce telomerase. It means that your telomeres get long again. So we were really curious and sort of surprised all the scientists and Bill himself at Sierra Sciences when they did all the testing on TAM818. If you've got a photographic memory, you'll remember that TAM818 had a score of 16%. So nobody was expecting to see age reversal with that. Literally, like, the logic was, okay, well, if everybody starts using the One Truth 818 serum now, or if I used it and none of you did, in 10 years' time, I'd still look like this and you guys wouldn't. But you wouldn't actually see anything happening. So when we started doing trials, and look, before we invested like $250,000 into the testing and the formulating and all that kind of stuff, we literally got the TAM818 in water, sprayed it on ourselves, me, my husband, my mother, we're all just spraying this stuff all over us to go, well, what's going to happen? And with 3 weeks of spritzing this stuff on me, I started noticing some wrinkle change, which was really interesting. I've been in the beauty industry for about 20 years, so I've tried everything. But what was really interesting is, there's nothing, if you know anything about the beauty industry at the moment and you're really into anti-aging, aesthetically, what do you do when you want to look younger? Well, you exfoliate your skin. People have been doing that for years. So what do? They exfoliate it more. They exfoliate it harder and longer. They melt more skin off. It's getting to a point where you can't melt more skin. It's not going to work. So then people have changed to paralyzing their face, And if anybody here does have Botox, I apologize, I'm being a bit tongue-in-cheek. But I don't think that anybody chooses to paralyze their face. Everybody wants to look good, and they might feel that that's the only option that they've got. But, I had a journalist write down this quote the other day, and I thought this is going to haunt me. But I was like, keep those faces moving. But everybody wants to look young as well. So, what do? We can't melt more, we can't blast more, we can't paralyze more. Something had to happen that was actually going to work to get to the cause of aging and not just mop up the mess that it was making. So anyway, as I was saying, we popped this on, it was 16%. We were seeing differences in wrinkles. And we kind of didn't really have an explanation for that. So it was enough for us to invest in getting some independent testing done up in Italy at Abbott Laboratories. There we go. So we sent it up to Italy and we had it testing, and these are the results that came back. And I tell you what, we were opening that envelope, because we had no idea what the results were going to be. That was completely independent of us. We used 100 volunteers, which is unheard of in the cosmetics industry. If any of you read the fine print on your cosmetic magazines, and maybe you do, or I do now, it'll say things like a 2-week trial done on 10 women, and they felt they looked better. Well, how do you quantify that? They just felt they looked better. Yes, felt they looked better. That was it. So, we're going in against those bigwigs, and we thought we don't want anyone to discredit us. So we had 100 volunteers, and we had doctors running it in a medical clinical facility, and these are the results that came back. So, Bill and his team were like, well, wow, that wasn't what we were expecting to see. And since there, and Bill has probably told you, I'm sorry I arrived late, that research has shown that even if you are affecting the shortest, critically short telomeres, that you may, and we have, seen some age reversal. Even if the longest ones are still getting shorter, the critically short ones are the ones you have to worry about. So if a telomerase inducer is making them longer, then you will get a difference, and boy, are we seeing a difference. So that's why at 16%, we are seeing age reversal on the skin. You don't have to believe what I say, I'll show you what I'm saying. So in Italy, they did trials over 30 days. So you can see day 0, day 15, and day 30. Now, never in my life have I come across a skincare product that will do this. But then again, there is no skincare product in the world that has TAM 818 in it other than One Truth. There is someone else with a telomerase inducer I'll show you in a second, but it's very, very weak. I'll show you that in just 1 second. Here's another one. And by the way, if you, it's so smart nowadays, isn't it? You just take photos of what you like. The website tam818.com has all of the research, all of the reports, all of the papers, and loads more before and after shots if you're interested in having a look. Pretty cool though, huh? Yeah. This is from our New Zealand trials. So I got back these reports and they were phenomenal, but they were just a book, or several books. You know, I couldn't talk to those books. So we ran a trial in New Zealand over 2 months so I could actually talk to people because they were saying, how long does the serum last? Is it going to work on my pigmentation? Is it going to? And I said, I just don't know. And that's why we're doing this. I need to work with you so you can tell me. So this is Shelley from the post office, our local post office, and this was after 2 months of use going there. And she was getting married about 8 months after this. So she continued using it. She was absolutely thrilled with that. But when we first saw this one, and this is my neighbour's mum, Trudy, and we were like, oh God, what's happening here? And we thought, oh, Trudy's lost weight. It must be. You know, that's got to be the explanation for this. It was the first sort of one that we'd seen like this. And then I went, no, hang on a second. When you lose weight, things get more wobbly. You know, they don't tighten up. And then we started seeing more of this, particularly on people's necks and eyelids. Eyelids lifting, so you could actually see more of the eye through there. And it's the production of elastin that's happening again. And Abbott Laboratories measured it too, that firmness that they're talking about. It's the elastin that's starting to be produced again. So this wasn't an unrelated, you know, but it was the first one we saw, went, what's happening here? Tried to explain it away until several of the models had shots like that as well. You can see pigment and sensitivity that it was working on as well. So when I first began this foray and started formulating One Truth 818 with a cosmetic scientist, I was like, yeah, and then we'll do an eye cream and we'll do a pigment cream and we'll do all these things. We don't actually need to. Because just like the diseases that Bill's talking about, they all have the same problem, you know, it's the same cause. And we've found, like with the One Truth 818, it is helping, to use a therapist's words in Australia when we launched there, curing rosacea, sensitivity issues, pigmentation. The person who came with the big machinery for our New Zealand trials said to me, do you know what, Rachel, this has gotten rid of pigment better than the laser treatments in my clinic. She used to do laser treatments for pigmentation and she stopped. She said because people kept being disappointed. So we stopped promising any kind of hope for pigmentation at all. And we were having models with pigmentation disappearing. So that was really impressive as well. And final one, as you can see here, this is Michelle, an old tutor of mine. And you can just see all those fine lines have just completely gone. And these models only used One Truth 818 for 2 months. You know, so when you actually have science behind a product, you get results. So I did say, like, nothing else does what TAM 818 does. There's one other company that does have a skincare product out with a telomerase activator in it. And there are a lot of companies, we found some today at the Beauty Expo, people coming up and saying, I think that the product I use has a telomerase inducer in it. And we're like, no, it doesn't. It actually doesn't. But there is one company that does, and we know that because Bill knows of them. If it's got telomerase, Bill knows. They have published data on the strength of their product. So Bill is able to do a comparison, and it's 80 to 300 times weaker than One Truth 818. So if anybody does say, there is another product, you can go, yes, there is one other product. And rather than buying 80 bottles of that or 300 bottles of that, I think I might just get 1 bottle of One Truth.